Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to Super Breakfast Friends Club.
Yeah, we're back.
We're back. A dinosaur story.
No, not that one.
If you don't know about it already, this is the show where we talk about TV shows based on video games.
Including, but not limited to, things I never even knew existed.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you've never heard of this because you're about to go on a wild ride.
Oh no.
There's no... Usually we would play the theme song here, but there's no theme song for this. I guess I'll play the little noise that happened over the title appearing. Here it is.
The noise?
Yeah, wasn't there a noise?
That's not the part that I'm questioning.
What are you questioning?
Just the fact that in lieu of a theme song, here's a sound. Maybe you'll recognize it.
Hey, you could sing along with the sound. Today we are looking at Red Ash Magicicada. You wanna know what's interesting about this one, Mel?
Everything?
This is a TV show. Well, I guess it's not a TV show. It's an OVA that was based on a game that never came out.
Okay, that explains why I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it was tie-in. It was a tie-in OVA for a game release. But the OVA got finished and the game didn't.
Oh no.
In order to talk about Red Ash, we first have to talk about Mega Man.
As always, comes back to Mega Man.
I'm not going to go deep into Mega Man. If you want to hear us talk about the history of the Mega Man franchise as a whole, you could go watch our episode on the Ruby Spears Mega Man cartoon, where we already did that.
Yeah.
But we talked a little bit about Keiji Inafune. He joined the Mega Man team during development. He did most of the art, but for the first game, the only character he designed was Elecman, and pretty much all the others had been done already before he joined the team. But he went on to become the creative lead of the series, and he, moving forward, designed most of the major characters. And then he went on to design Zero for Mega Man X, and he was basically in charge of the whole Mega Man franchise and its branches for a long time. In 1997... a new one of those branches was launched called Mega Man Legends, known in Japan as Rockman Dash.
That one's so much punchier.
I know, right? I feel like all of the Japanese names are better. Like, Rockman is a better name than Mega Man, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Especially with all the, extra caveats that come with it, His sister is still called Roll in English. But he's called Mega Man. But it no longer
makes sense.
Yeah, it's not a pun anymore. Rock and Roll is great. And then, his brother, Proto Man, being called Blues in Japan, I think that's great too.
We still have Bass. We
do, and that's really weird because he's called something else in Japan.
What?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. In English, he and his wolf, his Rush equivalent, are called bass and forte. In Japanese, they're called something else. Let me look it up.
They're called bass and treble.
Bass and treble. No, you're right. Yeah, sorry, I got it mixed up. No, bass is called forte in Japanese, and his wolf is called gospel.
Gospel?
Yeah. So those two as a duo don't have bass and forte, bass and treble. That's a pun in itself.
Yeah.
But forte and gospel isn't. But yeah, I think bass is a better name for bass than forte is.
Yeah.
And it maintains the musical theming that was removed from most of the other characters.
Gospel just feels like he's gonna proselytize at me.
Yeah. So anyway, Rockman Dash, Mega Man Legends. Have you ever played it?
No.
Me neither, but I've always wanted to. It looks cool. So it's a more story-driven Mega Man game, taking place in it's like a steampunk sky pirate world.
You're all about that.
I know. Why haven't I played this game? The gameplay apparently was similar to Tomb Raider and early 3D Zelda games.
Tomb Raider.
I love the art style of Mega Man Legends. Every time I see a screenshot of it. I was reading the other day that apparently when it got ported to the N64, it got criticized because by that point its graphics were kind of dated. And I'm looking at the screenshots and I'm like, what do you mean date? There's games coming out now that don't look this nice.
Right. Like, it looks like an N64 game. I don't know what else to say.
I think the problem is, at that time, people were looking for, like, more and more realism. And it doesn't have any realism. But that's why it doesn't look dated now, I think.
Right.
Like, there's indie games coming out today that are trying to mimic this look, I think.
Yeah, now we've just hit a graphical ceiling where it can't get any more realistic.
Yeah, so people aren't looking for that anymore.
Bring back the Mega Man Legends is.
Yeah, that's all I want. Anyway, there was a third Mega Man Legends game announced for the 3DS in 2010. And it was going to be developed with fan input through Capcom's website. They opened like this whole forum, and like every decision they were making, basically, they were putting on this forum and having fans vote on different options for stuff.
Ugh.
Yeah,
I feel
right.
like that's always good in theory, but I wouldn't trust the fans to create my
No.
my video game.
So here's the thing, right? A year later, in 2011, they cancelled the game because they said that it was because the levels of fan interaction were disappointing. They were like, not enough people are developing this game for us, so we don't think people want it. I got really pissed off because I wanted the game. I just wasn't interested in developing the game.
Right. Like, isn't that what you guys are supposed to be doing?
Yeah, so I wasn't interacting in the forum because I was like, I don't want to make this game. I just want you to make it, and then I want to play it when it's done.
I don't want to tell myself my own story. You give me one of your own and let me play through it.
Right, and I feel like that's what most people would do, right? There's only going to be maybe at best 10% of fans are going to be interested in, being involved in the development. And then the other 90% are just going to want to play a game.
Right.
So, I don't know. I was mad about it. Anyway, in between Legends 3 being announced and coming out, Inafune left Capcom and he formed a new studio called Concept. And then it was a real bad time for Mega Man fans after that.
Mega fans, if you will.
Yeah, not only had Mega Man Legends Mega Man Legends 3 was cancelled, and Mega Man Universe was also cancelled. It kind of was looking like we were just not gonna see Mega Man again for the foreseeable future. And, it still kind of feels like that.
He's in Smash.
He's in Smash. That's the most he had for like a decade. It's tough being a Mega Man fan.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a fan of anything other than Mega Man X.
Right.
Because Mega Man X is always the one that gets the most attention. And it's my personal least favorite. So anyway, in 2013, Inafune announced that he was going to make a spiritual successor to the Mega Man series.
Oh no.
Do you know what we're talking about now?
Are we speaking about the cursed Mighty Number 9?
Yeah, we're talking about Mighty Number 9. When I gave you this show to watch, like when you were done watching this show, did you predict in any way that we were going to be speaking about Mighty Number 9 today?
Not even a little bit.
No.
I helped kickstart Mighty Number 9, and
Me
I
too.
still haven't even played it.
Me too. That's the exact boat I'm in. I bagged the Kickstarter. I have I got the physical box copy. It's sitting in my bedroom.
Oh.
I have the box and manual.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't played the game because when the game came out, everything surrounding it, I was just like, oh, I don't want to play it now.
I know. I'm sorry
will.
I helped bring this into the world.
No, I will play it eventually. And knowing me, I bet I'll play it and I'll be like, this isn't as bad as people made it sound.
I know. I think it always comes down to things being overhyped. I'm sure it's not a bad game, but it's not the game people wanted.
Right. But I think a lot of that comes down to, I see this with every video game Kickstarter. People don't realize how much it costs to make a game.
Right. Like, we see how much we raised, and it's like 2 million, let's say, and like, whoa, that's so much money, but video games cost a lot more than that.
Yeah. It's like with the Shenmue one, I think it made like what? It made like $4 million, I think, something like that. And then when the game came out, people were furious that it wasn't like bigger and better than the first Shenmue.
Mm-hmm.
But $4 million is like a fraction of the budget that Shenmue 1 had.
Right.
And that was like $1998.
Right, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
For a completely different, inferior platform.
Yeah, so I don't know. People who don't work in games really underestimate how much it costs.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's happened with every gaming Kickstarter. I don't know if there's ever been one that's truly satisfied people unless it was a tiny indie company doing it.
Right.
The Kickstarter for Mighty No. 9 reached its goal in 2 days and went on to collect more than 4 times what it was asking for. And then it went on to be a famous disappointment.
Yeah.
I think they really lowballed themselves with what they were asking for, but
Mm-hmm.
the project got delayed several times, and concept staff upset fans a lot by mishandling the communication around it several times. I remember when the game came out and everybody was disappointed with it. One of concept staff members on a live stream of the game referred to it as better than nothing.
Oh.
Then, like, famously, the Sonic the Hedgehog Twitter tweeted out, like, a congratulations on the launch and then said it's better than nothing with a picture of Sonic shrugging. Like, when you're getting dunked on by Sonic the Hedgehog.
Right, that's shit-posting Twitter.
Yeah. This is, like, 2016 Sonic the Hedgehog as well, so he wasn't in any position to be saying this kind of stuff.
He was still a werehog.
No, it's worse than that. That was
He was a Black Knight?
2016 was Sonic Forces, I think.
Oh.
So that's the needlessly dark game that everybody beat in like 20 minutes because it was so you pretty much just had to run forwards. the Sonic I don't hate Sonic Forces, but the reason I like Sonic Forces is entirely because of the character creator thing.
Right.
That was a really good idea, and it's a shame it wasn't in a better game.
Right. I've considered picking it up just to make a stupid Sonic character, but then I'm like, I don't want to play Sonic Forces, though.
Yeah. As always, my opinion about Sonic the Hedgehog games is always creatively really good, not so great in practice. It's like they have really good ideas and they just never quite put them together properly.
Right.
Also, do you remember the famous commercial for Mighty No. 9?
There's a short dash, a long dash, jump dash, spiral, slide. There's probably a dash that makes you breakfast. I don't know. Point is, you're dashing around like a friggin' moon man, and I love it. And make the bad guys cry like an anime fan on prom night.
Yes! Yes!
Yeah. It was just so mishandled in every way, really. And one of the ways that it was mishandled is that Concept decided to launch a second Kickstarter for another game during the delays on Mighty No. 9.
Oh no, is this the birth of Red Ash?
And this brings us to Red Ash, the indelible legend.
Oh no.
So, Red Ash was intended to be Mighty No. 9's Mega Man Legends. It was the Rockman Dash of the spiritual successor. And I didn't realize this until I was putting together my research for this. And I don't know if this was intentional, but I feel like it has to be. If you squish Red Ash together, you can read it as Re-Dash.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like a redo of Rockman Dash. So I feel like that must have been intentional.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's ever been confirmed anywhere, but... So yes, this game was going to star alternate universe counterparts of the same characters from Mighty No. 9.
Okay.
Beck and Cole. They don't look anything like the Mighty No. 9 versions. They don't even have the same color theming.
That's a little weird.
Yeah, but But they have the same names at least. The Red Ash Kickstarter was launched in August 2015, which would have been a few months after Mighty Number 9's original release date. But because of all the delays, it ended up being almost a year before Mighty Number 9 was released.
Oh.
Yeah, I think if this Kickstarter had launched a few months after Mighty Number 9 came out, there wouldn't have been so much of a problem.
Yeah.
In stark contrast to Mighty Number 9 making 4 times its Kickstarter goal, Red Ash only made about 2/3 of its base funding goal.
Oh, poor Red Ash.
But then a Chinese company named Fuse stepped in to fund it. So the game was still going to come out. It was being funded by this Chinese company. I'd never heard of them, so I looked them up. At the time, they were developing a console, and that console released in 2016 and flopped so hard that we've never heard of it.
Right. I'm like, what console could that have even been?
Yeah. And then the company went bankrupt. And then in 2017, Concept was bought out by Level 5, creators of Professor Layton and Yokai Watch and such. They have pretty much worked as a mobile game studio and as support for the Yokai Watch series since.
What kind of game was Red Ash supposed to be?
It sounded like it was going to be an open world action RPG hybrid exploration type game. I have here some notes about what they had said about the plot. It was going to be about a group of treasure hunters. That's Beck, Cole, and Tiger. Cole was the group's leader. She was their boss.
Mm-hmm.
Beck was the playable character, and Tiger was a support character, but they had a stretch goal to make him playable.
Ooh.
The plot was that it's set in a world where there had been a war between humans and robots in the past, and now there were feral robots just kind of roaming the wilderness. And that war had made a certain group of people very rich, and now those people were living a life of luxury on the backs of the workers who supported their lifestyle, which Beck's group was a part of.
So that's different from the anime.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that. But the main plot of this game, because this game was very... Red Ash the Indelible Legend was advertised as a prologue. It was going to be the beginning of something bigger. And the plot of this game was that this huge mobile citadel, it's like a walking robot that is also a city,
Mm-hmm.
was on a collision course with the rich people human city.
Take it down.
Yeah. And one of the companies had set up this giant cannon to destroy it before it got too close. So everybody went from kind of panicking to just setting up this festival where they were going to watch the fireworks of this citadel being blasted. But there's also a legend that there was like tons of mysterious treasure hidden on the citadel.
Right.
So Cole decides to send her crew in to try and get that treasure in the 14 hours they have left before the citadel gets blasted.
Was it actually timed?
I don't know.
That would be nuts.
Yeah, there isn't a whole lot of information out there, and a lot of it presumably would have changed by the time the game came out anyway.
True.
But yeah, so that was all going on. Meanwhile, alongside the Kickstarter for the game, Concept launched a second Kickstarter to fund a short film by Studio 4 Degrees Celsius. Or 4 Degrees C, I don't know how they pronounce it. We've talked about them before because they did that first Halo Legends short we looked at.
Oh, okay.
The initial goal announced was to fund a 5-minute film titled Red Ash Magicicada, with stretch goals that would push it all the way up to being feature length. So like, the more stretch goals they met, the more time they would add.
Yeah.
In the end, they only made the base goal for the 5-minute film, but then they got external funding, which pushed it up from 5 minutes to 20 minutes.
So we only have this one episode to look at.
This is it.
This is it? This is all that remains of Red Ash?
Yeah.
That's tragic, because I think I would have really liked to play that game.
I know. This is the entire legacy of Red Ash.
Sad.
Yeah, this short was written by Ichiro Okochi, who had a really stellar credits list. This guy's worked on a bunch of really well-known stuff, and usually in really high-up positions as well. Like, he did series composition for a lot of these shows. But he is known for Azumanga Daioh, Berserk, Code Geass, Lupin the Third Part 5, and Spy X Family.
Those are some pretty big titles.
Yeah, these are all things I've heard of. And that's just kind of scraping the surface of his history. As for your question about, well, I guess it wasn't really a question, but as for your observation about the show being very different from that description of the game's plot, yeah, when they announced the short, they announced it as being set in a parallel world to the game.
Okay.
So what we see here isn't necessarily what the game's plot was about.
Okay. I guess that kind of takes them off the hook in case the game had gone into development and ended up different.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about it at the end because I've got notes about it, but the short here is kind of unrecognizable even from what the Kickstarter announced originally.
Mm-hmm.
The plot that was announced when the Kickstarter first went up is nothing like what we watched. From what I can tell, the only things from the game at all that are present here in the show are the three main characters, Beck, Cole, and Tiger.
Right.
But even then, although they're recognizable as the same characters, the designs are quite different from the designs that were showed off for the game. And one of them in particular, in a very notable way, I'm going to send you a picture of the artwork of them from the game Kickstarter. And you let me know if there's anything about these three that jumps out at you as being particularly different.
You know, I have been looking at pictures in Google just to kind of sniff around and see what's out there, and that had stuck out to me before.
Uh-huh. What?
Are we referring to the skin color of Cole?
We are indeed, yes. Yes. Cole has been whitewashed for this show.
Oh no.
She otherwise basically looks the same. It's just that they've taken her black skin and made her a white girl. So that's interesting. Good job, Japan.
Well, you could argue that since it's an anime, they aren't seen as white. They're seen as Japanese.
Well,
so they could have just made her a dark-skinned Japanese and changed her into light skin, which is still problematic.
Yeah, true. Also, you see that's the four main characters of the game. You see who was missing in the show?
The little robot?
Your little robot. I would have loved it if he was in it. He should have been there instead of that plushie that she was carrying around for the whole short.
Well, there was something significant about that plushie that we'll never learn the secret to.
Yeah, right. This short leaves so many unanswered questions. Anyway, so the film was completed and released towards the end of July 2017. But it seems like they only made it available to backers of the Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
There were Blu-ray versions sent out to backers of a certain level, but otherwise, as far as I could tell, it was only available as a direct download for backers only. And the download page was only available until the end of August. So They had like a month to download it. They later extended it to September the 15th.
Wow, that's gracious.
Yeah, an extra half month to download it. Like, I don't know. It later got released as part of Japan's Young Animator Training Project, which apparently the studio received a grant from as part of funding the film. I think that's probably what pushed it from 5 minutes to 20 minutes. This grant funding.
Right.
So it's included in their 2017 lineup of shorts. They do a lineup of shorts from like young animators every year. And I don't know where those shorts are available though. I don't know if maybe they have an annual festival and they just air them there or what. I don't know. The version that was included in that, which I think that year was called Anime Tamago.
Anime Egg?
Yeah. Because it's young animators. They retitled it. It was called Red Ash Gear World instead of Red Ash Magicicada. I don't know if there were any other differences between the titles. As far as I could tell, it's the exact same film with 2 different titles, but anyway. Let's talk about it.
Let's get into it.
So this show opens up with a narrator giving us exposition about the world, which was necessary.
Considering this world never existed before this point and will never exist again.
Yeah, this is the only episode, so we don't get the time to explore it. Usually I'm against this kind of exposition, but we just wouldn't know this stuff if they didn't have this, so...
Right. The whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, this is a little bit of an exposition dump. I wonder if that is good or bad for the people who have played the game. Little did I know.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is set centuries in the future. We're not told what planet. The world is divided into 2 races. The pure race, who are the normal humans.
The gall of calling yourself the pure race.
I know, right? And it also, we don't really... I'm sure they would have explored it if this was a series, but we don't really get to see the inherent evil in that.
Right. It's pretty heavily implied.
It's implied, but they don't explore it in any meaningful way here. Yeah, and the other race is the nano race. Humans who contain nanomachines at a genetic level. So I guess the nanomachines get passed down in genes even.
I guess. It's not clear. It just sounds like these babies are injected and forced to be a subservient race.
Yeah, but then there's like a surgery you can get to remove them.
What if all they do is take your money and kill you? That was my first thought.
It could be, I guess.
Like, well, you're just a nano race anyway. Let's take your millions of dollars and put you in the grinder.
I do find it really funny, because apparently these nanomachines give people superpowers.
Right, you would think that would be the more powerful race.
Right? I feel like it would make more sense if it was reversed.
Yeah.
But then I guess your main characters would be the ones in the upper reaches of society, and you want them to be the downtrodden.
Right. Doesn't work as well as the original conceit where it's just rich assholes.
Yeah, the original definitely felt like it was much more of a direct capitalism parallel. Not even a parallel, it was just capitalism, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, the pure race humans are living in this super futuristic city that we only really get a glimpse of. And the nano people are living in this clearly poorer, steampunk-looking pirate shanty town. We also only get a glimpse of, but...
I played Chrono Trigger, and things did not end up well for the Kingdom of Zeal. Just saying.
It never ends up well for any of these. Like, this has kind of a Grandia vibe to me as well, but in Grandia, by the time the game starts, those... super technologically advanced pure race people have already been dead for hundreds of years, if not thousands. All because they flew too close to the sun.
Typical.
Yeah. Then we're told a part that really never made any sense to me over the course of this, which is that the nano race people go to parallel worlds to hunt for things called Magicicadas.
Just go bug hunting.
Yeah. We're not ever told what Magicicadas are or what they do or why they're so valuable.
It's implied that this is a very dangerous line of work, but we later see Magicicadas and they're just like really big bugs.
Yeah.
And not even like Celtis big.
No.
It's like Goliath beetle big.
Yeah, it's like real world bug big. Not even prehistoric bug. We see a queue of cars all waiting to show passes to a robot to be allowed to drive up to this big machine that transports them, I guess, to parallel worlds, but he also says something that implies that they're being transported to the past.
The past?
Yeah, it's like it's the bridge to the old world or something.
I don't know if that's the past like that. It sounds almost like old New York and new New York,
Maybe. Like they're just being teleported away from the city to the areas that are...
Right, like areas of the world that have been deserted and desiccated since whatever.
But they also, like, straight up refer to them as parallel worlds, and the machine is the parallel machine.
They do, and then I got very confused at the end.
At the end, yeah, same. Because my understanding was that these are alternate dimensions. But then at the end, they seem surprised by the idea that they might be that, so...
Right, surprised by the idea that they found themselves in a place that they weren't expecting and didn't understand, and it's like, oh, it's a parallel world, what?
Yeah, it's like, I thought we'd just spent the last 20 minutes in one of those.
No, it turns out it just teleported them, like, down the street.
So we have Tiger here, sitting in his truck, waiting to be let through. He's in the queue to go to the parallel machine. He is played by Rikumi Moriwaki, who mostly had really small roles, playing unnamed characters like Soldier B and stuff like that. He spots a fight breaking out between two men. These watches, right? They're never directly explained, but I feel like we saw enough of them to understand. Yeah.
This scene shows us what the watches are, what they do, and also some of the capabilities of the nano race.
Yeah. Because I really didn't... When it talked about them having special powers in the opening narration, I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
I was like, are some of them a little bit stronger? Maybe some of them have really good eyesight. And yeah, that does seem to be the case. But
also, some of them can turn invisible
and
shoot fire.
Yeah, this is a fight between those powers, exactly. So I like that everybody seems to wear their watch in a different place. So the watch, I guess, suppresses the powers.
Yeah, and they're forced to keep them on.
Yeah, and there's this one guy here, he's wearing it on his wrist like a normal watch. The other one's wearing it like a choker. I thought that was interesting to like work it into the different outfit design like that, so they don't just have everybody wearing a watch.
More of a personal touch.
Yeah. Then this tiny robot appears. We don't see a lot of the robots in this show, but I liked the ones we do see.
Yeah. He just looks like a floating hat.
Yeah, yeah. I liked the one that was running the barrier to the machine as well.
He's pretty cool too.
Yeah, this robot tells them they're violating the law by using their powers and shocks them both. And meanwhile, Tiger is watching with a food cart guy who's walked up, and they're lamenting how unfair the laws are.
They didn't ask to be born this way.
Yeah, that's what I think implied to me that these nanomachines are like passed down in the genes. They must be self-replicating. So Tiger orders 3 boxes of scones. Although, you know, when we see what's inside the boxes, it sure looked like it was...
French fries and, like, something not scone adjacent.
Yeah, it definitely didn't look anything like what they said it was. Inside, we have Beck, who's looking at some papers. Beck is played by Yuki Kaji. We've talked about that guy before because he also played Phoenix in the Ace Attorney anime.
What?
Yeah. He, I think, was the biggest name actor here.
Mm-hmm.
He's done a lot of big name things, but we've talked about him before. I don't want to go over him again.
Get back in there, Beck.
And he hears a blimp that's advertising the procedure to have the nanomachines removed and become a member of the pure race.
How weird was that? It's like, you don't have to live like this anymore. Get rid of those nanomachines and join the pure race.
I know. It's creepy. And the price...
It is creepy.
Like, I don't even know what number that was. Do we even have a word for a number that high yet?
I'm sure that we do. But I sure don't know it.
I think the first line was like 1 billion, and then there was a second line of zeros below it.
I just sent it to you.
Oh, the first line's way more than 1 billion.
My brain certainly couldn't comprehend a number that big.
27 zeros.
I knew, and I still didn't expect it.
If anybody out there knows what it's called when there's a 1 and then 27 zeros, please let us know, because I got no idea. I don't know if numbers go that high yet.
They haven't invented a number that big.
No, we haven't had a need for one. Outside the truck, Cole is running scared through all the cars, hiding from some guys. She's got a teddy bear with her. It's a guy in like a white suit and a guy who's dressed for like, I don't know, the Cuban military.
I mean, he does look like a guerrilla soldier.
Cole is played by Asami Seto, who played Yui in Haikyuu, Sabrina Fardin in Gundam, Akira in Tokyo Ghoul, Shion and Raichi in Aikatsu, and Linde in Fire Emblem.
How do you spell that?
Linde.
Okay, I thought so.
Yeah, how would you pronounce that?
Probably just Lind.
Yeah, I was unclear on Lind or Lindy. Could be either one of those, I feel like. Linde.
So you went for Linda.
Yeah. Covered none of the bases. Tiger brings Beck the food, and Beck tells him he ordered one too many. And we see a photo on the wall of Beck, Tiger, and a third person.
I liked this part because it was like a subtle way to say, hey, this person is no longer with them. And then they still like went into explaining it with words. And I was like, okay, we've gone a little overboard now.
Also, the next scene... So we see Cole crawling under the cars, realizing that she's not going to be able to avoid these guys because they've got drones looking for her. And then we come back to Beck and Tiger, and Beck is like trying to calm Tiger down. Something happened half a year ago. Presumably their partner died. Beck is just kind of being a dick here, though. Right? Did you feel like that?
A little bit, yeah.
I feel like this scene was unnecessary.
It went on too long. That's the problem.
Yeah, we could have... Like you said, that earlier part was enough for us to understand that they probably lost somebody.
Because they go into it later in the episode and go more in depth.
Yeah. This here could have just been the two of them sitting quietly, not eating, just staring at the three boxes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would have been more powerful.
Yeah.
But having Beck berate Tiger for not having gotten over the death of their partner 6 months ago.
It's been, what did he say, 194 days or something?
Yeah, he's counting the days.
That's pretty fresh for grief.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know, this made me... I came to like Beck later on in the episode, but this made me not like him.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were trying to make us not like him too much in the beginning, because he's kind of abrasive and mean for like the first half of the episode.
Right.
I feel like it isn't until shit starts to hit the fan later on that he really starts to become likable. You know,
he's got other things to worry about. He doesn't have time to be an abrasive, rude little jerk.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like 15 and he's so mean about everything.
Yeah. So Cole suddenly pops out of a hatch beneath the table in the floor, and she knocks the food on the ground and just immediately kind of introduces herself and says that she's 14 for some reason.
Right, it was weird.
Yeah. I'm 14, so I'm a minor, just so you know. You shouldn't be talking to me. Do not engage.
I guess if you're going to crawl through the hatch in somebody's car, you might as well introduce yourself. Like, what else are you going to do?
I was just taken aback by the abruptness of announcing her age, yeah.
Yeah.
People don't do that. Yeah, Beck just wants her to leave. He's mad about the food being knocked on the ground. But, you know, I'm with her on this. She picks it all back up. It's still in the boxes. None of it really fell out.
Yeah, only a couple fries hit the ground.
Yeah.
Like, the bulk of the quote-unquote scones are still intact.
Yeah. It really looked... we only kind of get a glimpse of it as it is visible slightly through the edge of the box. But to me, that looked like a classic British late-night takeaway dish. No, more like a kebab shop.
Mm-hmm.
Where the kind of places that everybody goes when they are super drunk and it's 3 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
And these are the only places still open.
Just some fried good junk that'll soak up all the evil in your stomach.
Exactly. That is what I felt like this was.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking scones.
Do you think that was a weird translation?
I wonder. Maybe it was.
Maybe.
I don't know if these subtitles are official or if they are fan-made. I think they're official, though.
That's a little weird because there were a couple times where things changed.
Yes, and there are a couple of times where there are some incorrect spellings.
And there was one time where they used a 0 instead of an O.
Yes, which clearly was not intentional. I think these are English subtitles, but I think they are done by Studio 4 Degrees C in Japan. Because the Kickstarter was in English.
Yeah.
But there's no English dub. So they had to have done something for those English speaking. Like, it wasn't purely in English, but it was, like, every post has English and Japanese. So
Right.
someone was there doing translation for her. Cole just kind of, like, announces her power, which is apparently super hearing.
I don't think that's her power.
I think she's pure race, personally.
Maybe that's the twist.
Yeah. We'll never know. Because it doesn't explain it in this, but
Nope.
I definitely think that she's escaped from the big city, and I think she's actually a pure race person. I had a lot of reasons to think that. But yeah, she announces that she has super hearing. Or what does she call it?
Angel ears.
Angel ears, that's right. Tiger says that she'll be useful to help them find Magicicadas. So Beck's demand for them to call the police to remove her goes unlistened to.
Also, Taiga seems to notice the two dudes looking for her.
Yes, I definitely think that he connected the dots, but he doesn't say
Yeah.
anything about it.
Because he immediately looks back at her
Yeah.
once he sees them.
Yeah, we see him looking at them, and he like furrows his brow, and he turns back and looks at her, but her and Beck are still just arguing.
Yeah, but that's when he really locks in and says, nope, we're keeping her. It should help.
Yep, she's coming with us. That made me like Tiger. We're what, like 5 minutes in at this point? I already don't really like Beck, and I already fucking love Tiger.
Me too.
He's great.
He's a good boy.
He is. He's my favorite character in this by far.
Yeah.
I love that the two guys outside looking for her are just enjoying some popsicles at this point.
That was so good. The big guy comes and brings the popsicles.
Yeah, the little guy's just sitting down and watching all the cars. He's like, oh, she's bound to show up at some point, and just brings them some popsicles. It was so cute.
It was.
Really good. That's a really nice little character moment.
They're friends and co-workers.
Yeah. These two guys, the heavies of the villain, I guess they're the scratch and grounder of the show.
Right.
I think only one of them ever gets their names said.
Okay, so I'm not crazy.
Yeah, we know that the little guy is called Safari because the big guy says it really late in the episode. But I don't think the big guy's name is ever said. I had to look it up. His name is Stripe, apparently.
Okay.
So we do know his name. It's just not in the show. Stripe is played by Masanori Takeda, who is known for playing Giraku in Fist of the North Star, Sendak in Voltron, and was apparently the Japanese dub voice for Netflix's Luke Cage.
Okay.
So that's Luke Cage the character, not the show. He didn't do every character in the show.
Darn.
And Safari is played by Norito Abe, who had nothing else listed.
Oh.
Yeah, so I don't know what the deal is with him, but this seems to be all he ever did as a voice actor. As the truck drives by, Cole leans out the window and waves to those guys.
Oh, it was so stupid.
Which I thought was like a big risk.
Right.
I was like, why would you do that? But I feel like there's some things that she says later on that implied to me that she didn't think that she was in that much danger from these guys.
Okay.
But we'll talk about that when we get to it.
Okay.
now we're in this dark, spooky world that seems to mostly be made up of clocks.
Yeah, it's not explained what is happening.
No. Cole apparently has misled them several times by this point.
Her angel ears are not working as described.
Yes, which is one of the things that makes me think she might actually be secretly pure race and just lying about it.
Right.
Also, she doesn't seem to understand how the powers work, because
That's true.
every time she's allegedly using her angel ears, she screams out angel ears. And then when Beck makes fun of her for doing that, she's surprised because she, I guess, just thinks that everybody announces their power when they use them.
Right, she's like, what, don't you guys do this? They're like, no.
Yeah. So that's another thing. I feel like she's not one of them, really.
Mm-hmm.
And hasn't even spent much time around nano race people. So she argues back and forth with Beck some more, which is largely their dynamic at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually she says that his attitude is why there aren't any women on the team, causing Tiger to break down in tears.
Yeah.
And this is where we really learn about their teammate's death. Apparently a girl named Lucy.
Which would have been better if we didn't linger on it before.
Yeah. So Beck takes Cole inside the truck and explains Lucy to her. She was a member of the team who apparently also had super hearing. Quite a coincidence.
Right.
But her nanomachines had an error 6 months ago and she was taken away and they haven't heard from her since. So I guess they're just assuming that she's dead.
Right. I guess nobody finds out what happens when a nano race person errors out.
Yeah.
But that's like the threat of disease that looms over all of them.
Yeah, and this is where we learn that. And it learning this detail, I think, put a lot more... I understood the whole, like, surgery thing more now.
Right. Because before it seemed weird.
Yeah, but now it's like, oh, these nanomachines can have errors and then you die.
Right.
Yeah, I can understand why you might want to get rid of them now. Apparently, Lucy was supposed to be named by a Kickstarter backer. There was a tier which only had one available, and it was priced at $3,444.
Oh my god.
But nobody backed that tier, so I guess the studio ended up naming her themselves.
Kind of sad, but I get it. If the Kickstarter didn't receive much attention, I am not surprised nobody wanted to spend $3,000 on it.
Yeah. So we get some more conversation about the whole surgery thing, about joining the pure race and not having to worry about errors anymore. And Cole points out that the price is crazy high, so you'd have to be famous to make that much money, which makes Beck angry. And this is another thing where I was like, this feels like her realizing how bad the nano people have it.
Right, she doesn't understand until this point.
Yeah, and she's like a person of privilege who doesn't have to worry about this kind of thing. He says he's doing this because there's someone he wants to protect, but we're never really made clear what that means or who that is.
I bet it's Tyga.
Do you think?
No, I'm sure they had something planned, but we don't get to see that, so in my head canon, it's Tyga.
Tyga spots a car coming outside the truck, and he thinks that's odd because no hunter would barge in on a claimed spot.
Right.
And I like that he pulls out his binoculars and looks at them just in time to see Stripe fire a missile at him.
It's pretty good.
So that missile hits the truck and, like, sends it kind of flying, but...
I just love that up until that point, it's painting us a very serene scene of, like, cats just walking by calmly. Beck and Cole are inside drinking coffee.
That's the thing, like, they talk about how... They imply that this is really dangerous work, like you said earlier. But when we actually see inside this parallel world, it seems like the only residents are cats.
Yeah. We haven't even seen a single Magicicada.
They're not even like monster cats. They're just cats.
Yeah.
I do like that, though, because I feel like until we see the cats, I felt like this was a completely devoid of life world, you know? It's spooky. The idea that there was anything living here seemed unlikely to me. But then we see these cats just hanging out. Like, they seem to be doing fine.
Yeah. I think that supports that this is just like a derelict portion of the world, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, Beck runs to the driver's seat of the truck and starts driving. And Cole is surprised. She says they'll die if they hit them, which I thought was an odd line. And Beck thinks that she's just stating the obvious, being an idiot.
Right.
But it seems like she is saying it because she knows who's doing this, and she's shocked that they would do something that would endanger her that much.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was saying earlier about, like, it seems like she's not that worried about these guys, and that's why she waved to them as they drove away.
Oh, maybe.
I don't think she felt like she was in that much danger until now. I think she was just doing something rebellious, maybe.
That makes sense.
My guess is that she is from the Pure Race City. She's stolen something and run away, but she doesn't realize how bad things are outside the city, so she doesn't realize how serious what's going on is. And this is the point where she realizes she's in over her head.
We don't know what she's stolen, but it's implied to be extremely important, so...
Yeah, we know that it's something to do with that doll that she's carrying, but we don't know what it is.
And probably neither does she.
Maybe it's just the villain's comfort doll. It's his childhood teddy bear.
Maybe.
And he wants it back.
I'd be pretty upset if someone took my Pikachu.
So in the other vehicle, we see the real villain of the story, I guess. The boss of the two guys who've been chasing her.
This fancy man.
Yeah. He says that he'd rather that she be left alive, but all they really need is the doll she's carrying. He's a hologram.
Yeah, he's not there in person.
Yeah, he's just hologramming himself to the back seat of the car, as you do.
Throwing your holographic drink.
Yeah, that's weird now. Do you think he's a hologram but the drink is real? And then he was like, wait a minute, I can't drink this.
No, I think he's projecting from whatever room he's in, and he has a real drink, but...
Okay, I prefer my version. This character's name is Deny.
Deny?
Yeah. We aren't told this at any point in the short, but...
No.
What's funny is the Kickstarter, the information from the Kickstarter refers to Deny as Beck's best friend, but clearly that idea was dropped at some point.
Maybe that's who he's fighting for.
No, because they see each other and Beck clearly has no idea who this is.
That's true, but Deny knows all about him.
Yeah, that's true.
He's got a crush on him.
Deny is played by Yohei Hamada, who mostly has credits as additional voices, but played Bathin in As Miss Beelzebub Likes It, and Shuichiro in Elite Jack.
Cool.
Manabu in Noblesse, Yachita in Yusei High School Astronomy Club, and played Bertrand, Cedric, and Ali in Octopath Traveler.
Oh, okay.
So Beck drives their car into a tunnel and asks Cole to take the wheel, and this is where I start liking him. When he climbs up to the roof of the truck and helps Tiger back inside, because Tiger's just hanging off the edge of the truck this whole time. And is like, you get inside and take over driving. And he's going to fight because he's Red Ash, apparently.
Right. Something we haven't heard about until now, but he immediately shows us that he turns into Ash.
Yes. Not Ash Ketchum.
Or Red.
He just kind of becomes a cloud of ash and floats around. This, as far as I can tell, was not going to be a thing in the game.
Yeah.
It seems like his deal in the game was that he had a robotic arm that was interchangeable with different tools and weapons.
So where does the name Red Ash come from?
I don't... Read Ash.
Well, yeah.
Might just be it.
That has to be it. And then they just really shoehorned it into this.
Yeah. I had noticed, during that scene where he was talking to Cole about Lucy, I had noticed that he doesn't have a robot arm in this version.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can see it in that artwork I sent you earlier. You can see his robot arm.
Oh, yeah. It's all thick and bulky.
Yeah. Part of the Mega Man legacy, I guess. Although Mega Man has 2 hands when he wants to.
He switches it for a flesh hand.
So the boss guy, Deny, he recognizes him as Red Ash, his, I guess, superhero name. I really liked the fight between Beck and Stripe.
Yeah.
It was very nicely animated.
I mean, we haven't talked about it, but this whole thing looks very nice.
Oh, yeah. I guess we'll talk about it at the end. I didn't think about where to talk about it, but yeah, I was really into the style of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, Beck beats up Stripe and asks Deny what they want. Deny says they just want the girl, but Beck refuses to hand her over because he's one of them now. And I like that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the way we've seen him interact with her up to this point, you would almost expect that he would just be like, oh, take her then.
I'm sick of her. She just showed up.
But the fact that, like, he's been treating her like that the whole time, but as soon as there's actual trouble and somebody is trying to get her, he's like, no, she's one of my crew. You can't have her.
Yeah.
I like characters like that. That's kind of what I liked about Mal from Firefly as well, where he
I
was.
need to sit down and actually like watch through that series.
Oh, have you never watched it?
I've seen bits and pieces, but every time somebody would put it on, it would be like 11 o'clock at night, and I would get 10 minutes in and be out like a light.
It's a good show. It's marred a little bit by its connection to Joss Whedon now, with everything we know about him.
I mean, I can usually separate the art from the artist.
Yeah, for me, it depends on how much the artist is profiting on the art, and I don't think he's profiting on Firefly.
I mean, it's dead and buried and has been for...
Yeah. Oh, you know, maybe what's a better comparison is the show that Firefly was ripping off, Cowboy Bebop.
True.
Yeah, it's that kind of mentality that Spike has. And Jet Black as well. There's so many times in Cowboy Bebop where Jet is like, I don't even care about that guy. If he's going to give me trouble, then I'll just leave him. And then he's like, damn it, and then goes and helps him.
Oh, but he's on my ship.
Yeah, he's on my crew. I gotta protect. I guess he does that more so with Faye rather than Spike, but he does it with Spike a couple times too. So Denai turns on the sprinkler in the car, which for some reason is a little man.
I loved it. It's so stupid.
Very Eggman feeling.
It's this big armored car with a teeny little man sprinkler.
Yeah.
He's like a little firefighter with a hose.
Yeah, and he spins around and sprays the hose all over. It's not even really a sprinkler. That's not a sprinkle.
It's just a hose.
Yeah. But once Beck gets wet, his arm falls off.
'Cause he's dust.
Yeah.
He gets all clumpy.
That's so weird.
It is weird.
I don't like thinking about it.
About him as an actual thing of dust.
Yeah, about him as an ash homunculus. He's an ash golem.
What if he put his watch back on? Would that fix him?
I feel like, yeah. Right?
You would think,
I
if it
don't
suppresses his nanomachine powers.
Or would it just trap all the water inside his now human body?
And then he just stays clumpy.
Yeah, I don't
litter
know.
box.
So he escapes. There's no point in him being in here if he's just a fall apart man.
Right.
He has to hold his forearm on now.
Right, his arm falls off and he has to carry it out with him.
So the boss lets him go. He wants Red Ash to be alive for whatever reason.
'Cause he's got a crush on him.
Meanwhile, Tiger takes over driving from Cole. And I love this part.
Yeah.
He just takes
off his glasses and gets serious.
Yeah, and immediately it's like he comes into his own. We never find out what Tiger's power is, but I want to think that his power is driving real good.
His power is car. He spends the rest of this episode driving the car on 2 wheels on its side.
Yeah, just to show that he can.
It doesn't really serve any tactical advantage except in turning.
But I love that the second he's in control of the wheel, they're no longer running. He turns around and he's like, right, now let's go take this car out.
Right. He's like, well, they're an armored car, so this is a fair fight.
And then he just spends the rest of the fight ramming the car.
I did not see that coming, because you think that these are just like some broke people scraping money to survive, but they are ramming that car like they've got 15 spares.
Yeah, it's a tough car. I don't think we see any sustained damage on it.
And it's taken like 2 missiles.
Yeah. So Stripe is on top of the car with Beck, confronting him with, I guess, what looks like a mini shotgun of some kind.
A gun.
A gun of some kind. And then he gets knocked off balance by Tiger suddenly ramming his car. And then Cole, like, jumps to the other car. Beck is like, no, that's what they want. Don't... But she does it anyway.
She's like, no, it's okay. I've got a wrench.
And they share a little moment. But before they jump back to the other car, Cole ties a cable to this armored car, which has a wrench tied to the other end. And then she throws the wrench into the giant gears that are all along the walls of this tunnel they're in.
Right, we're in some kind of mysterious clock world now.
Yeah.
Like, even more mysterious than before.
Well, outside it was all clocks. But now we're just
inside, it's all gear works.
Inside, we're in the clock, I guess.
Yeah.
This presumably this is why the second release of this film was titled Gear World.
Maybe.
The villain's car is like being dragged into the gears, and it's making this ungodly screeching sound as it tries to pull away.
I like the part where Stripe is trying to shoot the cable off.
Yeah.
Like it's a smoker.
Like he's right there. He could be trying to untie it with his hands, but he chooses to shoot it.
Causing Safari to freak out because all he sees is a gun blasting at it.
Yeah. I was a little bit disappointed that they get out of this situation so easily.
Yeah.
I wanted to see the car get fully dragged into the gears and crushed.
Yeah.
And I wanted Stripe and Safari to have to get out and just like watch it. Just watch it get crushed down by the gears.
But they've got some kind of turbo boost and they blast out.
Yeah, I guess they snap the cable by driving so fast or something.
They don't snap the cable, they snap the gears.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they destroy the whole gear wall.
Yeah.
That's got to cause some problems for whatever those gears were doing.
We're not sure.
Beck tells Tiger to drive back to the parallel machine because these guys won't get away with doing this stuff back home, which is a pretty fair assessment, I feel like.
Right.
But the villains are still launching missiles at them, which Tiger dodges with some real fancy driving.
Yeah, these are like Tiger-seeking missiles. They're serious business.
Yeah, but one of the missiles hits the parallel machine, causing a parallel effect.
Which I had assumed was what they wanted, but it sends them to some wacky, weird cold world.
Yeah, I guess if they had got to the machine, they could have chosen where to go, but because this was like an unintended effect of the machine, it just warps them to wherever the heck.
Right.
Yeah, now they're in a frozen world. I don't think we see the villains again, do we?
No, we don't.
They're just gone now. No further explanation on them or their motives.
We're dealing with the fact that they're suddenly inside of a building being chased by penguin people.
That was so jarring.
It was very jarring.
1 second they're driving into this frozen wasteland, and then it just suddenly cuts to them running down a corridor with an alarm going off. It felt like there should be a black screen in between with the words "scene missing."
Right.
Yeah, they're in the Amber Zone apparently, which they say is a forbidden area. But if it's forbidden, why are there people there chasing them?
If they know where they are, how are they in a parallel world?
I don't know, Mel. They're not sure the things chasing them are even people, and I wasn't at this point either.
I was like, clearly that's just a suit.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean there was a person in the suit.
I guess that's true. I guess that this is a world with robots and stuff.
This could have been a hazmat suit for a penguin.
There's just a smaller penguin inside.
Yeah. They take the suit off and then slide their beak down. Because it's like a penguin suit, but with the beak on the forehead.
Yeah.
Like a
I'm
party
not really
hat
sure
beak.
what purpose it serves, except just to make them look like penguins.
Yeah, make them look weird and alien.
Right.
As they're running, Cole spots a bunch of Magicicadas in little, like, glass domes on a conveyor belt.
Yeah, that's like their whole organization here.
This is the closest we get to seeing a Magicicada or having any explanation of what one is. As they run down the corridor, one of the maybe people leans out of a door ahead and calls them to follow her. And Beck is like, well, we might as well. We're screwed either way.
Right. There's penguins in front of them. There's penguins behind them.
And the person who saved them removes her wacky hazmat suit and reveals herself to be Lucy.
The only other character we know.
Yeah. Lucy is played by Shino Kusahara, who only has credits for additional voices in other things. She doesn't explain how it is that she's alive. She gives kind of a vague answer that, like, maybe this is heaven or maybe there's more than one world or something.
Right. But it's never confirmed that when they air her out, they die, so...
No, that was just an assumption that Beck and Tiger had made.
Yeah. I guess when they air her out, they're sent to Penguin World.
Yeah. God, I would love for this to be explained in any way, but...
Right.
Unfortunately, Lucy is just very happy to see her friends. Cole ponders on the idea of there being more than one world, which I thought was just the thing anyway.
Right.
And the camera slowly focuses in on the doll that she's been carrying. And then it says, to be continued. This will not be continued.
But it never was. I'm surprised they didn't, like, create a manga to continue the story.
Yeah, I mean, officially the game has never been cancelled, but...
It's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna. It's been almost a decade. They're definitely not still working on that game.
Right.
I'm sure there's still people who want to work on it, but you got to get the funding.
Yeah. That's why they should have read manga.
Yeah, I would love to see this story continued in some way. I mean, this wasn't going to be the story of the game. I actually am more interested in what we know about the story of the game.
Oh, me too.
That sounded more interesting than this was to me. But I still liked this.
Yeah.
I would watch more of
I
this.
would watch this series.
Yeah. Yeah, the very beginning of it. I've actually written here that it had a very Cowboy Bebop vibe at the beginning, which I liked.
Yeah.
The scenes where it's just them in the truck while they were in the queue at the beginning, that all felt like Spike and Jet on the Bebop to me.
It did, yeah.
Which I liked. I'm sad that this is all there is. I would love to see the answers to some of the questions that this raises.
Yeah. But like you said, I'd be more interested in the actual story of the game.
Yeah. The game definitely sounded... The game sounded simpler in a good way.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't need all of this. You don't need all of this Magicicada stuff.
Right, you don't need nanomachines and superpowers.
No, you just need a group of 3 friends who are treasure hunting inside of a giant city-sized robot.
And destroying the rich.
Yeah. I can't believe that none of the villains were even introduced.
We got Safari.
He wasn't introduced, though. We just incidentally overheard his name. Like, we don't know what these guys were after. Well, we kind of know what they were after, but not why.
Right.
Anyway, do you want to hear the plot outline from the Kickstarter?
Yeah.
This is what when the Kickstarter first launched, this is how they advertised the story. They say that pushing the wrong button will cause them to awaken and emerge from underground. Is the map Grandpa gave to Beck a treasure map or a landmine map? Intrigued by the mysterious code, Beck and his best friend Denai continue to dig caves in search of hidden treasure, but the friends end up parting ways and competing for the treasure.
That's neither the anime or the game.
Nope. Nope. And then there's a few other lines that are just kind of like single sentence questions. And then it says, as the action-filled adventure treasure hunt evolves, Call and Tiger befriend Beck. Different mysteries and items appear at each new stage of the saga. The imaginations of the creators behind the stories run wild.
It sounds like that's where the Magicicadas came from, and then they kind of worked that into the general idea of the game.
Yeah, it's interesting. The only character besides Beck, Call, and Tiger mentioned here is Deny, who was stated
The
to
hologram villain.
Yeah. He was stated to be created for the anime, so he definitely wasn't, a game thing.
Right.
All of them are listed as anime original characters, except for the main three. There's also one announced character on the Kickstarter page who doesn't appear in the film at all.
Oh.
He's like a middle-aged man in a suit with glasses and a goatee. I wonder if he and Deny kind of got combined into the same character.
Maybe.
Like, I wonder if he was supposed to be the hologram guy in the armored truck. And then eventually they were like, well, we don't have a place for Deny anymore now that the best friend has been cut. And because it feels to me like as they truncated the story, they were like, okay, do we need this new best friend character when we could just make that Tiger?
Right.
And then they've got this character design left over for Deny, and it's like, let's just replace the villain with him because it's a better design. Because the only change, they made his suit a little bit fancier. They added like an emblem to it, and they tied his hair back. He used to have, he's still got long hair, but it used to be just free hanging, and in the final short, it's been tied back.
Right.
But yeah, very curious about the unused dude.
He's boring anyway.
He is kind of boring. But yeah, that's it. No legacy to talk about because obviously this is it.
It didn't even. The legacy isn't even its own game.
Yeah. This one episode OVA is already the entire legacy of Red Ash, the indelible legend.
That's sad.
It is. Especially,
I would love for this to come back.
Me too. It's especially sad to me because if they had led with this instead of Mighty Number 9, I would have been even more interested. Like, I was into Mighty Number 9. I kickstarted it.
Right.
But this is way more interesting to me.
Me too.
I wish they had just led with Mighty Number 9 and not... no, sorry. I wish they had just led with Red Ash and and not bother with Mighty Number 9.
What we need to do is use the parallel reactor thing to go to the parallel world where Red Ash was made instead of Mighty Number 9.
Where Red Ash is the game that disappointed us.
I feel like I would be way less disappointed by a lackluster Red Ash than a lackluster Mega Man.
That's how I feel as well, because Mighty Number 9 I was interested in for its gameplay.
Right.
Which ended up not being great. But with Red Ash, I would be more interested in its story and its world and its characters, and that stuff's going to be the same no matter how the gameplay turns out. So
that's how I feel about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel, I agree with you. I think I would have been happier with a disappointing Red Ash. I would have played Red Ash by now if that was the disappointing game we got.
We would be in the fan Discord.
Yeah.
We would have a podcast all about Red Ash instead of F-Zero like we do now.
We haven't looked at F-Zero in a while.
No, we haven't. Maybe we'll get a glimpse of Falcon.
Not till episode 7, I've heard. The art style, we didn't really talk about it. We did say that we liked it. But yeah, it's not cel-shaded, but it almost feels like it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because it's 3D, which I don't tend to like, but what they've done here is they've made all of the textures like painterly, which I think gives it a really nice look.
Yeah.
And I was really into it.
Me also.
This is another example of how art style is everything.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. You want to say anything?
I usually don't. You usually do not allow me the space to say anything after that.
I know, I just did it, though.
This happens every time. You will randomly leave a space for me to say things where you normally don't, and then you call me out on not saying anything every time.
You can interrupt at any time, you know.
I'm aware of that.
Okay. As long as you are.
I've been here for 102 episodes.
Thank you to our patrons, our club VIP members, Jamie Core and Mark Kelly.
Please help yourself to the complimentary lukewarm coffee.
You're beautiful today. Did you know that? I really like what you did with your
stunning.
hair. If you would like to join them in receiving occasional compliments from us,
and lukewarm coffee,
you could go to patreon.com/superbreakfastfriendsclub and join the club VIPs. What else? Come follow me on the internet for updates about the show and other things that I do. I'm Skull Pirate Mike. Don't follow Mel.
No, don't look for me. You can't see me with your human eyes. Shed your humanity. Ascend into the void.
Ascend?
Yeah.
Okay.
The void is above us in space.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize.
Yeah, it moves sometimes.
Oh, that's probably what it is.
You probably had to descend last time you stopped by.
I did.
Okay.
Bye!
Live long enough to see yourself create Mighty Number 9.
Yeah. You either die a Mega Man legend or you live long enough to become a Mighty Number 9.